The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library.
Welcome to a dose of Landis. Welcome to a dose of Landis. Landis. Welcome to a dose of Landis. Welcome to a dose of Landis.
What's up, everybody? I kind of look like the Miz. Everybody looking at my hair, I'm like, wait a second. We are here on a Dose of Landis. This is season 5. I don't know, I said 4. Season 5. We are still in production of season 4. So we're, trying to mix it all. We're doing a remix challenge because, again, with COVID, you never know what to expect. Like I said, I am your host, Jeff Landis. If you don't know who I am, then you're watching the wrong channel. So I've been here since I was 14 years old. Not the same exact spot, if I was the same exact spot. Yeah, how would I eat and how would I take care of myself? So I'm in a different studio. Same. Well, you know what I mean. Anyways, my guest this evening is none other than
Tad Atkinson.
So, how's it going?
It's going great. It's kind of interesting because we're really affected by all this stupid COVID stuff in California because they're even more hyper. Their governor's even worse than Holcomb here, as far as controlling it, managing it, and so on and so forth. And they've spent all these years putting together tax credits and tax incentives to bring filming production back to Hollywood from Georgia, Canada, all over the place, and they start shutting the industry down because of this.
Wow, that's crazy. A lot of people's affected for sure, and with this now. From talking to you, by the way, we were talking about this before the program.
Yes, indeed.
Big shout out to Brent Myers, a.k.a. Brent Brooks, for linking me and Tad up.
Yep. Old ballistic Brent Myers.
Yeah, what happened is that me and Brent's been talking, we've known each other started the Dos Landis 2017. So for a while.
Yeah.
So he's like, tagging these people like, hey, I know this person, you should link up with them. Well, talking to Tad, I was like, you know what, it's interesting. And like I said, he's like, just my boy. I was like, oh, wow, you haven't known me that long. But again, like I said, as an entertainers come to click with each other. Like I was telling Ed Gill this, for Howard the Duck, which will be on this season as well. I was like, all of us entertainers stick together. No matter if you're a dancer, actor, producer, we all stick together.
Yeah, we're all family.
And we're all close, no matter what you do. I mean, like I said, you've done commercials and everything else and movies, etc. But we all got the common bond is we're all entertainers. So I found out as well is that you went to New Haven as well.
Yes.
And I went to New Haven as well. So a little bit of background about you and New Haven, because again, you're homegrown talent that's bust out of that bubble.
Yeah.
Out of talent from Fort Wayne, New Haven, and
yeah.
So how did tell us?
Well, I mean, actually, I'm an immigrant to Fort Wayne, as it were. I moved here. My family moved here when I was 12. I'm originally from the Chicago area.
Oh, okay.
Mafioso. No, I'm North Shore boy. So, but I consider Fort Wayne my adopted hometown. I lived here for 26 years before I headed out to California to pursue the film career, and I've been on just about every stage in this town as an actor, doing one show or another. But I'm a 1983 graduate of New Haven High School. I started in East Allen in 8th grade, so do the math.
That's one subject I'm horrible at.
I did theater at New Haven too, and so it's always been, been a part of my life since I was 6 years old. That's when I made my stage debut. Halloween, in fact. I was witch number 2 in Macbeth, and no, I have no superstition about that. But and that was back in Illinois. My mentor in that program, this was like a kind of like youth theater, only in Illinois, and our patron, who would come out for about 3 months every year, was a major Broadway and Hollywood director by the name of Joshua Logan. He directed the original Broadway casts of Annie Get Your Gun, South Pacific, Mr. Roberts. He directed the film versions of Mr. Roberts and South Pacific, Sayonara Miss Saigon, Bus Stop. He did a lot. He was major guy. And he started grooming me as a protege. And then, life happens, and we lost contact with him. And I eventually wound up in Fort Wayne. Probably one of the most humbling moments. Of course, we had at that time Mary Yarnell, who had been a major Broadway and Hollywood actress who retired from the performing career to have a family and moved to Fort Wayne. And I did Princess Ida with her at First Pres, and she's doing a PBS interview, and she just describes me as this wonderful find. We're going to see so much more of him in Fort Wayne Theater. It's just like, Mary Yarnell saying that about me?
It's a rush because, you got somebody that's been doing these big productions and you look up to, and you get that adrenaline rush, and you get like the hair's like, man, I'm really doing something right. Because sometimes, like I said, I get what you're saying, because I look at sometimes like people stop me and still say, hey, Jeff, I watch you on TV. And then when you got somebody, a big name, sitting there praising you and saying you're doing this and that, and you're just like, is this a dream?
Yeah. And one of the things that kind of decided for me when I had the opportunity to go out to Hollywood was I'd been doing so much theater that I would have people come up to me, people I'd never seen before. And I never forget a face. I don't care how much time has passed. I always identify faces. Don't ask me about names, though. Forget that 5 minutes later.
Right.
But they'd come up to me and they'd be talking to me about details going on in my life, chatting very intimately like they've known me forever. My friends that are out with me say, okay, so who was that? It was like, we can't take you out anywhere anymore. So it's like, you know what, if I can just roll with that here, I can roll with it anywhere. And I'm not saying I'm the next Tom Cruise or anything like that, but the fact of the matter is, when you go down this career, the higher level of exposure that you're performing at, the opportunity and the possibility is there that you may take off and suddenly everybody knows who you are. So all it takes is one really good smash hit, and people remember you. Brad Pitt got really his big break in Thelma and Louise, and nobody remembered his name, they just remembered that guy.
Yeah.
But and then I thought I was away from it. I'm on my first film set with John Larroquette, just doing background work, nothing glorious. And at lunch, I see there's this tall blonde woman. Finally, near the end of lunch, she comes up and says, "Excuse me, is your name Tad Atkinson?" And that's kind of took one step away, like, yeah, who wants to know? She had moved from Fort Wayne the year before, and her job here was working with IPFW, which I guess now is PFW, but working with the theater program there in their donor program. So it was part of her job to go to every single show and hit up all the wealthy people going to the theater. So she'd seen me in who knows how many shows and knew my face right off. But so that was kind of a surreal moment to people from Fort Wayne meeting up in California. But so it's always been kind of a part of my life, even when I wasn't pursuing an acting career per se. When I was a literary scholar in academia as a college professor, I was always writing papers on drama and analyzing plays and whatnot. And then I was a drama teacher at one no longer exists, but a small Christian high school, Fort Wayne Christian Schools. So it kind of always was in that background. Then I had the opportunity in 2004 to head out to Hollywood to try it and film. And I was like, you know what? I could do Hollywood. I'm more of a stage guy.
Yeah.
So I could go do New York. But New York these days, you've got to be the triple threat. You've got to sing, you've got to act, and you've got to dance. And I have never had a single dance class in my entire life. I know how to move.
Yeah.
So don't talk to me about shuffle toe, buffalo, tap,
Yeah.
plie. I don't know what you mean. Speak to me in plain English or show me what you want me to do. But and then it's kind of, I wound up doing a lot of stage in LA anyway. And one of the people that I fell in with, he unfortunately passed away this past September. Not of COVID, cancer, but he was a 2-time Tony Award nominee. He directed the original Broadway cast of Fort Wayne's favorite musical, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And so he was writing his own stuff, and because of the musical background, he wrote his own music. He was amazingly talented. And we're doing a musical version of All's Well That Ends Well, the Shakespeare play. Mm-hmm. And the Letters in the Forest, he's got set up as kind of like a rap piece with a little choreography as we cross, each cast member crosses reading one of the letters. And so he's showing me this, and I'm just giving him the steady stare because he knows I'm not a dancer.
Yeah.
And he just, well, this is how I want you to do it, darling, because he was this British gentleman. And so he does the maneuver exactly. He turns around, looks at me, and just, whenever he turned that on, you can't refuse Tony. He was this darling little old man. But so I managed to do it, and I managed to get it done. He actually said I did it better than he did. My wife, up until she was 14, was being groomed to be a prima ballerina. And then I've got this guy, and both of them, I can no longer say I'm not a dancer. Both of them had said, no, you just haven't had training. You've got a great sense of rhythm. You really can move. You can dance. You just need the training. I'm like, okay. Wiser heads than I are telling me otherwise, so I will bow to wisdom.
You have to take that risk. Now, speaking of risk, like we were talking about before the show,
Yeah.
is that, being from Fort Wayne, we were talking about cover bands and everything else, is a lot of people are afraid to get out of that bubble
Yes.
and go to, like Hollywood and New York and all other things. Because like I said, I'm guilty of this. I won't deny it. And I wish I could just break out of this bubble. I love Fort Wayne. I just want to be, get out of Fort Wayne, try to take my talent somewhere else. Now, there's a lot of people that's in that bubble, and it's like, okay, if I stick to my hometown, it'll probably give me somewhere. Because I'm not down in Fort Wayne. Please don't think I'm down in Fort Wayne.
No, of course not.
But, if you go to Hollywood, the big places, that's when you can bust out. But you took that opportunity, and you're like, all right, I love my hometown, or, I love living in Indiana, I love living here. So when you think, okay, this is my time to do it, and this is for advice for me and for anybody else, what gave that motivation? I need to make this further. Because again, like I said, a lot of people's in that bubble still to this day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, it is a risk, and especially at the higher levels, even quite honestly, in Hollywood, I'm still one of the bottom feeders. Nobody knows who I am, and nobody really cares. And I get I've seen your posts about your haters, and I get my share of them too. And it can beat down on your psychology, your psyche, pretty badly. Anything entrepreneurial entails risk, and this is entrepreneurial. We're no longer in the studio system where you just filled out an employment application and then they gave you a contract and you were guaranteed so many pictures a year.
Yeah.
When the studio system died, the actor had to become an entrepreneur. You're all self-employed. You're all subcontractors or whatever, but
Like
it's
pro wrestling
all
stuff.
on you.
Wow.
You're the one who's got to go out and do the auditions and hopefully do so well in the audition that you nail the callback, and then nail the callback so well that you get the part. The other way around doing it is networking, getting to know people, but more to the point, getting them to know you so they feel that they are comfortable with putting you in front of a camera and taking that risk on you. Because again, it's all risk management. On a major studio project, when you look at the amount of time that they spend filming and the amount of money they have, once cameras are rolling, whether or not anybody's actually in front of them performing, I think I remember reading this, the figure was around $15,000 a minute.
A minute?
A minute. So they don't really want to run the risk of an unknown because they have no idea. Is this guy going to show up 30 minutes late to set? Well, 30 minutes times 15,000, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Oh, yeah.
He sulks in his trailer because he's got his big shot and so he's turning into a prima donna. He doesn't like his costume. He doesn't like his lines or whatever. So you've got that delay. Can he even do the work? Can he at least provide something usable on the first or second take?
Yeah.
All of these are risk factors that producers in Hollywood are haunted by.
A lot of pressure, too, it seems.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why you see people like Ridley Scott's brother commit suicide. Wow. He jumped off the San Pedro Bridge a few years ago. So, at any rate, it's at all levels. I mean, you could be doing a $25,000 movie. When you're doing a budget of $25,000, you need to make every penny shriek. You're pinching it so hard. So you still can't afford to deal with Liberty Gibbets. Now, my experience with people in Fort Wayne working in theater here, we have an advantage in that, A, we tend to have a really high work ethic. Believe it or not, that's on my resume.
Oh, well, that's cool.
For sending into auditions and everything. I have punctual, reliable, and no ego-related issues.
That's good, because there's a lot of egos. And
Exactly.
even between local and national, there's a lot of egos. I mean, granted, I'm into this. I used to have an ego problem when I started. I thought I was, but ego is a big percentage of what goes on in the entertainment business, because it could either make you stronger or it could kill you.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, especially as a performer, you've got to have a certain level of ego. It takes a certain amount of egotism to be willing to step out on a stage or in front of a camera and say, hey, look at me.
Yeah.
Ain't I great? Well, the big thing is you've got to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. Turn it on for the cameras, turn it on when you're on stage, but once you're off, you're back to just plain folks. And you look at the people who work continually, and I'm talking about the big names now. Tom Cruise has his issues. We all know that. They're very public.
I've seen a couple of them recently.
But on set, he's like a kid in a candy shop. He doesn't care if it's some little grunt PA. He's like, hey, thanks for being here. Isn't it great? Let's get things going. He's pleasant to work with. And the same thing goes with, George Clooney, great guy to work with. Ron Howard, very, very unassuming, modest guy. All of these people know when to turn it on, when to turn it off. And they just make sure that working with them on a set is pleasant. They remember the fact that we're all family.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be in a family where everybody's squabbling and backbiting.
That's what we talked about earlier in the beginning of this.
And you look at the people who don't work a lot. They got to there, and they still are there, but it's like only every now and then you see them show up in a movie or on a TV show. And that's because they are a pain in the butt to work with. They're the ones who throw the hissy fits. They're the ones who want to have a very exotic coffee, and it's got to be done at a certain temperature. If it's too hot, too cold, they're throwing the cup around or whatever.
So you're seeing that a lot then.
They're drugging up or getting drunk the night before the shoot and hung over when they're on set.
Wow.
And it once again, that's a form of unreliability. And there was, I remember some people when I was still doing shows here in Fort Wayne, where there was one guy who was an alcoholic, and it was always a risk to work with him because you didn't know whether he was at a point where he had a handle on it and wasn't drinking backstage, or if he was in his phase and getting absolutely sloshed while waiting to go on, and then once he went on, good luck knowing what he's going to say next.
Yeah. Wow. That's.
But the key point is to be trustworthy, and when you get to know these producers, you find out where, say, Ron Howard's going to be, or Steven Spielberg, or whoever, name your producer somebody would like to work with. Right now, Jon Favreau is my favorite, but you find out where they're going to be, because there's always a little bit of press as far as their public appearances.
Yeah.
And you get yourself there. And you just circulate, because if you're part of the party or you're part of the event or whatever, there's no Secret Service detail keeping everybody at arm's length from these people. They're there to meet people too.
That's true. It's a networking, none of that. But you can only. What I've watched the Shawn Michaels DVD. Like I said, I always refer everything back to wrestling, because wrestling is my lifestyle for everything. Pretty much. I mean.
Well, all this applies in wrestling too.
Yeah, and Ted DiBiase says on the Shawn Michaels DVD, you can only promote yourself, and that is true. I mean, yeah, granted, somebody can help you promote a movie and stuff like that, but you have to be the person out there to pursue it and talk to that person. Because if you don't do it, who else can do it for you? Because they could always have that other person that could take, like, okay, this guy's cowering down. This guy thinks he's on top of the world. It's being an entertainment business. We have our haters, and we got our people that's watching us. They want to see us fail. Then they'll take an opportunity of that. I mean, granted, I've done it before too. I've done it before. I'm not gonna lie. I've took shortcuts before, but you get what I'm saying. It's like you can only push and promote yourself. Hence why you got yourself out there. Now, speaking of getting yourself out there, so yeah, again, like I said, thanks to Brent Brooks. You're gonna kill me for saying your name. But, I want to talk about these.
He'll DDT you.
That's all right. I refereed a match with him and some wrestler out of Michigan for Price of Glory. He's like, Jeff, I'm gonna have you work. So he had me running around the ring, and here I am out of shape, and oh my god. But yeah, he's probably gonna watch. He's like, all right, Jeff, I'm gonna chop you. He'll probably have Dan stretch me. Love you, Brent, but again, like I said, you're my entertainment brother as well. So we're going to talk about these two commercials. Again, like I said, I didn't know anything about you until he tagged me, and then we started networking. Again, that's what's good about networking with people. You get to find out things about somebody. So you're probably more than just two commercials, but the two commercials I got right now, I'm going to play them. And then if you want to talk about your days with them and how it turned out. So here's one of them right now.
Hey, come in. Take a look at this one. You'll never make it as a cowboy dressed like that.
That's a lot of leather.
The man is wearing spurs.
Not just anyone could be a cowboy like Jason Witten.
Let's do this.
But anyone could save money on car insurance with Geico. Geico. See how much you could save.
Now, about that, how did that come about, and how did you reach out to the agents of the? I mean, like, how was your day with that?
Well, I mean, actually, the other one that you've got was the first one, and that was a standard. I saw the breakdown online, so I submitted myself for it. I got accepted for the audition, and it was the client. Actually, straight at the audition, it was the client, the director, and the producer. And so they liked me. They asked me to come back for the callback. And as we're doing it, the director, who's also writing the spot, was saying, "Hey, I've got an idea for something else. We'll go ahead and do the shtick you came in for, but I got something else in mind. Either you guys know any yoga? Well, I've done DDP's yoga."
I need to get on that.
So I went, "Yeah, I know a little bit. Kind of a unique form of yoga, but yeah, I know something about it. So give me some yoga moves." I'm doing a few things that I learned from the DDP yoga, and he's like, "Okay, so what could we do with this?" And so I threw out a few suggestions, and he's, "Oh, let's do this." And the other guy in the room with me is paying very close attention. Okay, so we did this, and it turned into this little sports rivalry thing. When you show it, you'll see what I mean.
Hockey rivalries are tough. But saving money with Geico is easy. Geico, proud partner of the NHL.
So that's eventually what they cast me for and used me for that spot, and we did this whole thing. And then, this is a good example because this is how this works as an entertainer out in the industry. So we did that. It was great. Off it goes. I'm doing my own stuff. And then about 2 years later, I get an email contact from the producer who, they've got their own little company that's based out of Texas, asking me what my availability was, certain dates, and saying, if you're available, we'd love to work with you again. We'll fly you out to Dallas and back to LA. Well, I happened to have a friend who, I didn't know if you knew any of the Jacksons at New Haven, but Greg Jackson was getting married, and he's in Houston now. So I went ahead. I was already going out to that wedding, so I said, well, I can save you a little bit of money, just like Geico, because I'll be in Houston, and so it'll be cheaper for you to fly me from Houston to Dallas and back rather than L.A.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So because they knew me, they enjoyed working with me, that led to the tryouts commercial later on. And, it's usually a couple of years, so they don't want to look like they've got the same actors.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're a spokesman like the caveman. It's another thing entirely if it's just people filling in around them.
Yeah. Now, say for instance, if I wanted to, obviously I know how to get a hold of you because we're friends on Facebook, and I got your number, you got mine. No, I'm just kidding. But like I was saying, say for instance, if I wanted to book you to act in commercials, to do theater, to whatever, because again, I know, like you said, you're an independent contractor. Say, how can I get a hold of you to book you for something?
Well, obviously you can look me up on Facebook. I have a public page. My private page tends to be pretty locked down because of some nasty type of stalkers, not the fun kind.
Oh yeah. I get that.
And I'm very confident, secure individual. I know how to take care of myself, and because of some of the people I work with, I've got the best kind of security, the one you don't see. But so I don't care about stalkers for myself. But this stalker was bugging everybody on my friends list.
Oh, wow.
And so to protect my friends, I locked everything down. But I have a public page, so people can contact me through there. I've got a professional email address of tad@tadatkinson.com. Anybody can email me there. And once again, know people who know people. I'm not at a point where I can have somebody monitoring my phone, so I'm not going to give that out. But
I get it. You're your own agent for right now. You got to do what you got to do. I mean, I'm the same thing. I got somebody helping me out, slowly helping me out with that, because again, I kind of very tough with people. I don't trust that many people in entertainment, especially if you're dedicated and you want to get stuff done, and you be like, hey, can you do this on and they're like, yeah, we got to wait another day. Because I learned in the entertainment business. Because Boyz II Men is my favorite group of all time. No matter what you got to do, you got to get on that person, that agent, that something like that. Because again, that next opportunity somebody else could take.
Yeah, exactly. You got to lock them in.
And again, like I said, Brent, thank you very much for
Brent,
for sure. If I get chopped, you know where he's gonna be at.
Yeah. Well, and Brent, thanks from me as well, because you're not even from Fort Wayne, and we're both from Fort Wayne. You hooked two people from the same town together.
We didn't even know that until we started talking, and I'm like, New Haven, Fort Wayne. I'm like, so again, like I said, to all the entertainers that's out there that lives in Fort Wayne, anywhere in Indiana, he is proof that you can go out, get out of that bubble, and do what you got to do.
You just got to do it. Just don't let the doubts stop you. Don't let the insecurities stop you. The risks stop you. If you're going to do it, just do it. There's a great wisdom in that saying. I also probably should give a shout out to the original Mr. Wonderful of professional wrestling, Rock Riddle, who was the one who introduced me to Brent.
Oh wow, small world. Come to find out that he's a big wrestling fan too. And we were talking about wrestlers beforehand, like, man, like I said, we're all entertainers. We all, sometimes entertainment, because we're there to perform you. I always said this before about everybody. Politics and entertainers are the ones that get the most haters.
Yes.
Now let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. That's why I don't get into politics.
Well, I would say, well, the haters in politics tend to be death threats. We don't get quite that much. You'll get the odd crank, but it's like every day a politician's getting death threats. I don't care what level they're at.
Yeah.
We just get people that are jealous.
And I think they can do it. See, I challenge people like, all right, you think you can do this better than I can? Why don't you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have enough time, or...
Yeah, the excuses come in.
Yeah. So, again, like I said, thank you for coming on A Dose. Hopefully to have you on again.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot more we could talk about that we just talked about before the show. About he's got some stuff coming into Indiana, but...
I've got a major project going, and once I get that one launched, then I'm coming back.
That's all we're going to say about that. That's all we're going to say. I mean, it's crazy because before the beginning of the show, we'll talk about this, we'll talk about that.
I will say this because for any city council that's listening or the mayor, I would like to do a film studio here. And I'm talking like a full-scale Warner Brothers, Paramount type of campus. So jobs, jobs, jobs. Okay?
Tom Didier, Mayor Tom Henry. You guys know me by now. Listen to this guy. He's trying to bring not only more jobs, but he's trying to bring more entertainment because, again, we need that entertainment venue. I mean, yeah, we got here, we got the library, we got all kinds of places, but we have somebody that's going to bring a big production. We've got space. It's just up to you guys to decide. So, yeah, again, before we go, say hi to anybody or...
Well, of course, hi to my wife, my friend Bo Powell, who's worked on this in this station as well. They're some of my biggest supporters. And then my associate in the big project is Dr. Julio Antonio Del Marmo. I'm telling his life story, and he's an amazing individual. I recommend everybody look him up, and he's got books on Amazon. Read them. You will have your eyes opened.
Interesting day for sure. So like I said, listen to him. He's got good advice. He's a great talent, very humble, no ego, very laid back and straight. That's not that many people in this industry. So thank you for watching Dos Landis. Before I go, I would thank Sanai for making the theme song for Dos Landis. It's got that different feel, type of vibe to it. And we got a big celebrity listen to it for the first time. So there you go. So again, like I said, you're doing a good job. Oh, you know what I mean. People know. You know what I mean. But
I am kind of big.
Hey, I didn't say that part. You said that part, not me. I don't want to die. I don't want to die on my own production. But thank you for watching A Dose of Landis season 5. Stay tuned for more. There's gonna be some more big things happening. I've got more stuff up my sleeve. You have been dosed.
Welcome to A Dose of Landis. Welcome to A Dose of Landis. Landis. Welcome to A Dose of Landis.
Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne. Learn more under the Explore tab at acpl.info.